What is up, guys? Rick Kackis here. Thank you so much for stopping by, and today we are going to be taking a very close look at the brand new Felwinters Lie Shotgun just added into Destiny 2 with Season of the Worthy. There has been a lot of hype around this weapon, and there has been a lot of people speculating that this might be the best PvP shotgun in the entire game because this weapon has some unique properties that other shotguns just don't have. So, to find out if that's really the case, we are going to put this weapon through a smorgasbord of different tests and compare it with other top tier PvP shotguns. Going into the Crucible doesn't really tell you much because you can do well with all of the current top options. Is there really a difference between this and the Astral Horizon or the Mindbender's Ambition? And most importantly, is this really the new top slot? Does it have differences that put it ahead of its competition? Well, let's find out. Now, what is that unique factor? Well, taking a look at the Felwinters Lie here, firstly, it's just filled with some absolutely top tier perks. You have Full Choke, which says tightened barrel reduces projectile spread while aiming down sights at the cost of precision damage. This, along with rifled barrel, are usually considered the two best options for PvP barrels, and they're going to result in more consistent one-hit kills. It also has accurized rounds, and this makes it so that it just has more range. Then you have a choice between either slide shot, so sliding reloads the magazine and increases the range, or honestly, better than that is quick draw. So you can draw it unbelievably fast. If you're using a primer, you can switch this last second and get that shot off before your enemy is expecting it. And then in that final slot, we have a choice between firstly, opening shot, improved accuracy and range on the opening shot of an attack, or Vorpal weapon, increased damage against bosses and supers. So, if you got the role of Full Choke, accurized, quick draw, and opening shot, you would be thrilled about that on pretty much any shotgun. In fact, the Astral Horizon with that exact role is considered an utter god role. But what makes this unique is intrinsically, even though it's technically an aggressive frame shotgun because it does aggressive frame damage and shoots as fast as other aggressive frames, instead we have Shot Package, aggressive frame shotgun modified to have more uniform pellet spread. Now, Shot Package, back in Destiny 1, it was also called Shot Package, it was a perk, and it just tightened your pellet spread. It was so good, it ended up being removed from the game, and if you had a roll with it, it was just replaced with a different perk. But how good is it in Destiny 2? Well, to find out, we are going to be comparing the spread with my Astral Horizon. It has quick draw and opening shot, and importantly, it does have Full Choke as well, so the difference in spread will only be because of Shot Package. The only thing keeping this from being an utter god roll is the Masterwork, and then, of course, Light Mag, but that's beside the point. Can we actually see a difference when these weapons are shot side by side in some wall tests? And you're going to see in the background gameplay, I'm shooting these back to back all the time. And if you're looking for spread, you're going to be disappointed because one of the first things we were able to deduce is that Shot Package doesn't necessarily increase the spread compared to, this other Astral with the same barrel. Like, you're not getting tighter pellets in a smaller area, but instead you're getting a more uniform pellet pattern. Now, you can see that when I shoot the Felwinters Lie multiple times in a row. It looks exactly the same every single time, with maybe some extremely minor deviations, but that shot pattern is remarkably consistent. And if I was to try to do the same with the Astral, it's kind of similar, but nowhere near as consistent as the Felwinters Lie. Okay, so it has a consistent pellet spread. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, to be honest, it's kind of both. Now, on the positive side, being extremely consistent means you can master this weapon a lot easier. You know kind of, oh, the enemy is at this range. If I hit him, it's going to do pretty much the same thing every single time, right? And that is good. And you definitely avoid the situations where you get a little bit of a strange pellet spread with, the Astral, and, a pellet that should be hitting is going to miss because it's a little bit above where it should be, for example. Those are the positives. The negatives is that if you pay really close attention to the pellet spread of the Astral, you'll see that sometimes they squish in almost a positive way. So just like how if you're shooting with the Astral and it has a different pellet spread, and what would normally hit the opponent's head goes just above because that pellet spreads out a little bit more. With the Felwinters, it wouldn't do that. It would hit the head. But just like that scenario, you can have a different scenario where you get a pellet behaving in a beneficial way. It would normally miss the head, but this time it squishes down a little bit more just because of random circumstances, and then it hits the head. Whereas with the Felwinters, you're going to miss every single time because it's just so consistent every single time. And actually, you can really see this illustrated when I start to compare the Felwinters spread with my Mindbender God Roll spread, and that does not have full choke. Instead, it does have rifled barrel. So you're seeing shot package and full choke combined compared to the Mindbenders, and you really can see that uniformity compared to the Mindbenders spread, which is kind of all over the place. And usually it means that results in a little bit of a tighter spread. But sometimes you do see the Mindbenders just tighten up even more, and it's that randomization where sometimes it's going to benefit you, sometimes it's going to screw you over. The Felwinters doesn't have that. It's going to perform basically exactly the same every single shot. So, with that very important factor of this weapon under consideration, how is the Felwinters Lie in the one-shot kill department? How far can it get one-shots? Well, we need to talk about opening shot for a bit, because really during the tests, it illustrated just how good this perk is on a shotgun. So both for this and the Astral Horizon, which you can spawn on, oh my goodness, opening shot makes a difference. You can see at 10 meters here, and I double check with the Darcy, but you can also see with the heavy ammo, it's a quick indication of the range. I am doing 18 up to 19 damage with opening shot, but if I have a quick follow-up shot, that drops down to 15, 14 damage. Now at 9 meters, you can see the same thing. I'm getting 21, 22 damage with opening shot, and it drops all the way down to 17 and 18 damage without opening shot. So that is a pretty considerable chunk of extra damage at those ranges that you're getting because of this perk. Now at 8 meters, the difference is actually a little bit lessened, and you can see with it I'm doing up to 23 damage, and without it, it's dropped down to mostly 21, some 22s in there. But of course, everything doing 23 compared to everything, or most things doing 21, that is still a pretty significant difference. Now, why is this less of a difference? Well, it's because I'm closer to my maximum range. Opening shot only extends the range, so if you're in that maximum range, the perk does nothing. You're not getting a bonus in damage. It's only when you're really stretching out a weapon that opening shot comes into its own. But keeping all of that in mind, again, the question is, where can I get one-shot kills? And at 8 meters, I was not able to do it. There was one shot that came pretty close. In fact, most shots were stripping away all the shield and a bit of health, so they're basically one shot with anything else would kill them. And normally I'd be saying, I came really close, so you just have a couple of good pellets and then you'll get a one-shot kill. But with this shotgun, I can't really say that because the pellet spread is so uniform. I don't really have a couple of lucky pellets that could go in different directions. It's the same every single time. And there we kind of see the downside of consistency, because guess what? I did the same thing with my Astral Horizon. This has technically less range because of light mag, right? But with the Astral, I actually did get a one-shot kill at 8 meters because I had a lucky pellet spread. I had some squish rather than some expansion in terms of the pellets, and guess what? I was able to do it. Now, I'm not counting out the Felwinters. on especially a low resilience opponent, I'm sure at 8 meters, it has the chance to get a one-shot kill. But at these ranges, this is kind of where that consistency is working against you, because with a lot of my tests, you can almost see, like in the background, the halo of pellets around the opponent. He's just a little too small for these pellets to all hit, and because they don't ever squish, I'm getting the same result again and again and again. Now, with all that being said, came forward a little bit to 7 meters, and boom, one hit kill with the Felwinters Lie, no problem. So at that tail edge of 8 or within 7 meters, you'll start to get one hit kills, and that's where it'll work in your favor. You'll, pretty consistently be able to get one hit kills there because your pellet spread is so uniform, right? But comparing all of this to the Mindbenders that again has rifled barrel, you do have the chance for more headshot damage, especially because full choke actually lowers your precision damage. But, with the overall wider spread, again, the one hit kills from 8 meters, like they just didn't happen really. So, is it worth deleting your Mindbenders and your Astral once you get the Felwinters Lie? Well, I think these tests would prove no. The Felwinters actually isn't the mapping machine we thought it may be with Shot Package. But there's one thing the Felwinters does have over these other shotguns that is a pure benefit, and that is its perk layout. It can switch perks mid-game. So you can take off opening shot and put on Vorpal. You can take off quick draw and put on slide shot. Now quick draw is pretty much going to be better than slide shot in almost every scenario, and I did try to test slide shot. I really didn't find it add any sort of meaningful extra range, by the way, but mainly you would be switching to Vorpal because mid-game you hear a super pop, you can open your inventory, switch to Vorpal, and now you have more damage against supers. So how much more damage are you getting? Because turns out Vorpal acts differently on different weapons. When I tested the point of the stag, it did 60% bonus damage against super. How does the Felwinters fare? Well, without Vorpal weapon, as you can see, I can plug this super for 129 damage right point blank to the head. And that's a pretty consistent number. Multiple times, multiple different supers, 129 damage, no Vorpal. Then, if I switch to Vorpal, I'm getting on those same supers 155 damage. And again, that's very consistent and it happened multiple times, which means that isn't like one pellet missing. That's what you're going to get if you hit all of your pellets on the head. So that turns out to be a difference of exactly 20%. Like 129 plus 20% is 154.8, so 155. So Vorpal will add 20% more damage to supers. And while that's definitely something, that's not as good as some other weapons. And if you're wondering, oh, can it one-shot supers with Vorpal? Turns out, for the most part, no. In fact, we were able to get a one-shot only on the weakest of supers with the Chaos Reach. As you can see, one-shot him here and then took it off, wasn't able to get another one-shot. So that and maybe Golden Gun, you'll be able to potentially one-shot if you get super close and plug him in the head, but everything else, not so much. With that being said, 20% bonus damage is still pretty significant, and it's going to let you, potentially rip away all the shields with a single shot from further than they're expecting, and then get the follow-up melee to shut down a super. And again, the fact that you can switch mid-game and not lose any ammo or anything like that, that is very beneficial. Alright, at the end of the day, with all of those tests considered, how good is the Felwinters? Well, I can say definitively, this is not the absolute best shotgun in the game, replace all other shotguns. And that's because that consistency in pellet spread hurts you as much as it helps you. It's going to make those legendary, I map the guy moments a little bit less. But it is going to help you quite a bit from, 7 meter-ish distances, which is, very, very powerful still. This is an absolute god roll shotgun that pretty much anyone can access. If you don't want to farm Mindbenders for hours and hours and hours and hundreds of runs, if you don't want to drudge through trials to try to get a god roll Astral, just get this. And again, you may have some slight disadvantages, but not that much. And you do have the big advantage of being able to switch and take supers down a lot easier. And so guys, that is it for the video. I hope you enjoyed, found this informative, and if you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickKackis. That's linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.